Hey folks, Eric Bray, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Tuesday, December 18th. Okay, sure, 17th, 18th, somewhere in there. Been on the water pretty much, let's see, 3 or 4 times this past week since the last report. And fishing's been good. We've been catching some fish, most of them deep, but we have been catching some fish. Bite's been good. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 912.26, which new pool, it puts us, what is that, 2.75 feet down. So the rain we got didn't really make much of a dent in the deficit we were at before. So water level hasn't changed that much. Core's been running water pretty much constantly, mostly just 1 or 2 units. They'll kick on 3 or 4. Certain parts of the day, but for the most part it's just been 1 or 2 units 24/7. So they have managed to keep the lake down right around 912. Water temperature, not a lot of changes. 50-51. I'm up here, I'm at Campbell Point today, so I'm up the White River a little ways, and we saw 49 to 50.5 pretty much all day long. Been out since 7:30 this morning, just getting off the water around 3. But the bite was good. We caught several fish today. It's been a pretty good bite. Water temperature just hasn't changed that much. Going to need a lot more cooler nights for it to cool off much more than it is right now. But if you guys are coming down, say you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, still the deep bite is the #1 bite down there. If you don't know how to fish deep, you really need to get out and learn how to fish deep. Most of the fish we're catching are either on a jewel scuba spoon or a Rapala jigging wrap. Have been catching a few on a drop shot as well when they're a little finicky. But for the most part, it's been on the spoon and the jigging wrap. And they're deeper than you expect them to be. Normally, we talk about catching fish, 30 to 40 feet deep, over 60. Most of the fish we're catching right now are 40 to 60, even 70 feet deep, over as much as 90 or 100. So the overall depth is a lot deeper. Most of them in the guts of creeks, though today we did catch quite a few out on main lake points here. I really think that's just because of where the shadow positioned up here up the White, but mostly down the dam we're catching them in the bigger creek arms, right in the guts of the creeks, over 90, 100 feet deep, sometimes a little bit shallower, sometimes 65, 70, but for the most part they're suspended, and they're suspended over 90, 100 foot of water. But definitely have a jewel scuba spoon, have a jigging wrap tied on, because those are the 2 baits we're catching most of them on. A few of them on a drop shot with a shad shape as well. Can still catch a few on a football jig, jewel 1/2 ounce football jig, out there on those gravel mixed with rock points, and those fish are a little bit deeper than you expect too. I really thought, I went out and fished for them over the weekend and thought, well, we'll find them up shallow. Really, most of them were 20 to 22 feet deep down by the dam. Did have a few bites up there a little shallower, but those seem to be smaller fish. Smaller smallmouth, dinks, not keeper size. Seemed like the keeper size fish were out a little bit deeper in that 18 to 22, even 25 foot range. Doing well with Okeechobee blue, of course, and green pumpkin candy, watermelon candy. Those colors always worked. Did better with a J-tail than we did with the beaver, though, as a trailer down there. Are starting to catch a few on a stick bait as well. Megabass Vision 110 or the Spro McStick have been the 2 I've been catching them on. Actually, the McStick's probably been better than the Megabass. It seems like with the water closer to 50 degrees, I do better with the McStick than I do with the Megabass, just because it has a more erratic action, especially when you work it fast. It tends to dart harder from side to side than the Megabass does. But we are catching a few around isolated cedar trees on rocky banks. Not a lot of fish, and not a lot of big fish yet, but it's something that you can keep kind of in your hip pocket, that if you're not catching them deep, or you don't want to fish deep and you're not catching them on a jig, there are some fish suspended around the cedar trees and some of the hardwood trees. Most of them are over 20, 25, 30 feet deep. They're not really up there on the bank, so you want to keep your boat out in about 30 to 35 and hit those isolated trees. If you go down a bank and there's just a group of trees, not doing as well there. Seems like if there's 1 or 2 trees down a 30, 50 yard stretch of bank, I do a lot better doing that than I am if I've got a whole bunch of trees. And go up into the Kimberling City area, same deal, catching them deep. Deep is going to be the theme probably for the next couple of months, unless something changes. We're really having a good deep bite this year on Table Rock. Again, jewel scuba spoon, jigging wrap, out in the guts of the creeks, basically from the mouths to about halfway back. You've got anywhere from 70 to 100, 120 foot of water. Just kind of work your way back in those guts of the creeks and look for the shad. You probably won't see a lot of fish right off the bat. That's the weird thing. It's not like I'm marking a lot of fish when I'm idling back in there, but if I do mark balls of shad or shad strung out because they are running water, almost guarantee there's going to be fish around them. So we'll stop and we'll fish, and sure enough, fish will either come up off of the bottom, out of the trees, or somewhere to chase the baits. And again, you want to have a jewel scuba spoon, you want to have a Rapala jigging wrap, and you know, have a drop shot tied on too. If the bite gets a little stingy, they are eating a shad shape pretty good on a drop shot. Jig bite's been good in the Kimberling City area as well. Jewel football jig, 1/2 ounce, 5/8 ounce, typical colors, Okeechobee blue, green pumpkin candy. Broken record here. Same colors we fish all year long. Again, the J-tail was a little bit better when I was fishing it than the beaver, but you can catch them on both of them. Fish were a little bit shallower in Kimberling than they were down by the dam. Most of the fish we caught on the football jig were in that 12 to 18 foot range, but again, they're on those points that are gravel mixed with rock, not really the steeper rocky banks and not the real flat gravel. Kind of the if you're in 30 foot of water, it takes a good cast to reach the bank. Those type of banks, not the real flat ones, but you know, not the steep ones either. Catch them on a stick bait there as well, both the Spro Mix stick and the Megabass Vision 110. Again, looking for isolated trees. It's not a great bite. I'm not catching a ton of fish doing it, but I am catching a few, and I think that bite will get better as the water cools down as well and the fish move up. But these fish are suspended. They're, you know, probably down 8 to 10 feet around isolated trees over 15 to 20, 25 foot deep. So I'm keeping the boat a little bit off of the shore and throwing it in between the trees and just kind of working it back and not letting it pause a long time, you know, 5 seconds at most. I'm actually working the stick bait pretty fast, and that's why I like the mixed stick a little bit better than I do the Vision 110 this time of year. Go up into the James, and the James has got a really good crankbait bite going if you get a windy day. A day like today where we didn't have a breath of wind, you might pick up one or two, but it's not going to be a great day to throw a crankbait. You get a breezy day, I guess we've got some wind coming towards the end of the week. You get a windy, breezy day, and you can catch them pretty good on either a wiggle wart or a rock crawler or a curve 55 on those 45-degree chunk rock banks. They're still up there, still catching them. Until this water gets down in the lower 40s, you can catch them on a crankbait this time of year. So have a crankbait tied on if you're going up the James. Have a jig tied on. Was up around Ants Creek last week and was pitching a jig around boat docks on a sunny, calm day and caught several fish. Most of them, well, they're all in the shade of the docks, but most of them were out a little bit deeper than you expect, 8 to about 12 or even 15 foot deep around those docks. Make a lot of pitches with a Jewel Pro Spider jig. 5/16 was a better one for us, but you can catch them on the 7/16 as well. Like same colors, Okeechobee blue, green pumpkin candy, brown purple flash was a strong color. And then matching it up with a speed crawl. I always seem to match up the spider jig with a speed crawl and do a little bit better. It's just the right size for most of the crawdads that the fish are feeding on right now. Go up into the white where I am today. We had a good day today. Started off kind of slow. It was foggy. Struggled to get them bite. We could find fish, but struggled to get bit. But as the sun came out and things warmed up, we really started catching fish. Spent the morning in the creeks. Everything we caught was deep today. Basically fished deep all day long. I don't think I had the boat in less than 30 foot of water all day, and we weren't even fishing then. But while we were fishing, probably not less than 45 or 50 foot deep. And we had 35, 40 fish in 6 hours with probably 25 keepers, few 3-pounders, no giants, but you know, just would have put together probably a nice 14 to 15 pound bag today up here. Most of them on a jigging wrap, a Rapala jigging wrap. Did catch a few on a Damiki rig, did catch a few on a Jewel scuba spoon. So like I said, we started in the creeks. We can find them in the creeks. They weren't biting real good in the creeks, but we did catch a few, just didn't see a lot of shad. Started working main lake points over, especially long tapering main lake points, out 50 to 70 to 80 feet deep until we found the shad. Most of the shad we found today were between 60 and 80. Doesn't mean the fish were that deep. The fish were actually on top of them, but we did catch quite a few fish over top of shad with the Rapala jigging wrap and with the scuba spoon, and basically just working it slow, just kind of popping it and working it and working it and popping it. And it seemed like we'd find it. You wouldn't catch a fish everywhere you went, But when you'd find a group of fish, once you got them fired up, we could catch 10, 12, 15 fish out of a good group before they'd settle back down. So keep that in mind if you're coming up this way. Did throw a stick bait up here the other day, both the Spromic stick and Vision 110. Again, Spromic stick has been better. Fishing rocky, steeper banks. Isolated timber's key though right now, guys. These fish want to suspend around trees and they're just waiting for shad to come by. Shad up here are a little bit smaller than they are down in Kimberling and down by the dam. Most of the shad that the fish are coughing up in Kimberling and the dam area are about 3.5, 4 inches long. Most of the shad down here are smaller, 2.5 to 3 inches long. So I think that's affecting the jerkbait bite up here. We didn't do real well with it. Have caught a few over the weekend throwing a stick bait around isolated timber. And then the jig bite. The football jig bite's always strong up here. Caught quite a few on a jewel football jig, 1/2 ounce or 5/8 ounce. Same colors, Okeechobee blue, green pumpkin candy. You guys know what colors I like to throw, and it's the colors that work up here. Matched up with a J-tail was really strong. And the fish they're kind of like they are at the dam in Kimberling. They're a little bit deeper up here, probably, most of them we caught were in that 15 to 18 to maybe 20 foot range. Most of them relating to points. With the amount of water they're pulling, these fish are relating to points. So keep that in mind. If they're going to continue to pull water through the weekend, keep an eye on the Corps of Engineers site. If they're pulling water, hit the points, because they're not really going to be on those flat banks or on those banks, just straight long banks. They're going to be relating more to points with the amount of water they're pulling. Guys, it is almost Christmas. Is this the last report before Christmas? It is, because a week from the day will be Christmas Day, so you probably won't get a Christmas report. You'll probably get one the day after, maybe a couple days after. But Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks for watching the videos. And as far as an update on my boat, I am in Jeff Durr's boat today. Thank you, Jeff Durr, for allowing me to use your boat. My boat, we are in the process of fussing and fighting with insurance adjusters and getting estimates done. So cross your fingers, say a little prayer, whatever you want to do, that we can get things squared away and either get my boat back on the water or get a new one. But either way, working on that. It'll probably be a month, 2 months, who knows, before that deal's all settled up. Unlike a car, it doesn't seem like it ends real quick. But anyway, guys, if you want to learn how to fish deep, man, now's the time. Now's the time. Like I said earlier, this is probably one of the best deep bites I've seen on Table Rock in a very, very long time. I was talking to Phil Stone the other day, and there's a couple of spots that I have not caught deep fish in 5, 6, 7 years that are just loaded with fish right now. It's just amazing. It's just, everything's falling into place. The shad are moving up. We had a great shad spawn this year, so we've got a lot of shad in the lake. The shad are moving into these creeks, and we're really starting to catch them. But guys, if you want to learn how to fish deep, now's the time to come down. So give me a call. If you guys want to learn how to fish a stick bait, it's a little early yet, but I say, we're getting into January and February. I really think that stick bait bite's really going to kick on. So if you guys are wanting to learn how to fish a stick bait, now's the time. And if you guys want to learn how to fish a football jig, it's always a good time to fish a football jig down here. We won't get as many bites as if we fish deep, but we can go out and catch them on a football jig, learn how to throw a football jig. But however you want to do it, whatever you want to do, we are going to be running winter rates all the way through the end of February. And remember, we got one more week of the gift certificates on sale. So you can save $50 on a guide trip, save $50 on a gift certificate if you want to give the gift of fishing for Christmas. But either way, guys, if you want to go fishing, get a hold of me. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com. Shoot me an email. Book online. Whatever you want to do, get a hold of me. We'll get out. We'll go fishing. We'll have a good time. Guys, the fishing's great right now. It should remain this way all the way through December into January, probably all the way into February. But guys, if you want to go fishing, give me a call. Guys, thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't done that. Please take a second, subscribe. But guys, thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.